Admiral Kexthil stood in front of the giant screen in his command room. The blue and green planets spinning slowly before him looked peaceful. Too peaceful. This was Earth, the world his people had been told never to touch for 300 years. Was getting old for a Zephyrian. His purple skin had started to fade, and the spines on his back were not as sharp as they used to be. But his mind was still quick, and his anger burned hot. Today, that anger was directed at the small blue world. On his screen, "Sir, the reports are ready," said Sub-Commander Vexron as she walked into the room. She was young, with bright purple skin and eyes that glowed yellow in the dim light. She carried a datapad in her four-fingered hands. Kexthul turned away from the screen. "Show me." Vexron touched the datapad, and new images appeared on the wall screen. These are the mining colonies in the Kepler system. Human ships have been seen there 5 times in the last month. They claim to be traders, but our colonists report something different. The screen showed small human ships landing near Zephyrian settlements. Humans in simple clothes were talking with Zephyrian miners. They looked friendly enough, but Kexthul knew better than to trust appearances. "What are they really doing?" he asked. "Setting up their own bases," Vexran replied. "They build small settlements on empty moons. They say these are just trading posts, but each one has defensive weapons. Each one has communication equipment that reaches back to Earth." Kexthul's anger grew stronger. "They are expanding into our territory." "It appears so, sir." For 40 years, Kexthul had served the Zephyrian Empire. He had conquered 15 worlds and destroyed countless enemy fleets. No race had ever stood against Zephyrian might for long. Yet here was this one small planet that his people were afraid to touch. He walked to his personal computer and pulled up the old files. The restriction was simple and clear. Earth, classification, extreme hazard. Military engagement forbidden. By Imperial Order 1247. No exceptions. Who made this order? He had asked his superiors many times over the years. The High Council, they always answered. "It was before your time." But why? The order stands. That is all you need to know. Today, Kexthul decided he needed to know more. He searched deeper into the military files, using his admiral's access codes. Most of the old records were locked away, but he found a few reports from 3 centuries ago. The first report was from Admiral Morkan, dated 2289. Contact established with human colony world. Population estimated at 50,000. Resistance minimal. Standard occupation protocols implemented. The second report, dated 2291, was much shorter. Human retaliation force encountered. Casualties heavy. Requesting immediate reinforcements. The third report was the last. All forces in Sector 7 lost. Human advance continuing. Recommend immediate withdrawal from all human-controlled space. After that, nothing. Just the order that banned all Zephyrian military action against Earth or human colonies. Kexthul read the reports 3 times, but they made no sense. How could one human colony world destroy an entire Zephyrian battle fleet? His people had the strongest ships in the galaxy. Their weapons could crack planets in half. Their shields could stop any attack. "Sir?" Vixran was still waiting. "Contact the High Council," Kexthul ordered. "Request permission to investigate human expansion in the border systems." 2 days later, the answer came back. It was the same answer he always received. Request denied. Earth remains prohibited. No exceptions. This time, Kexthul did something he had never done before. He sent a second message, more forceful. Human. Expansion threatens Imperial territory. Military response required. Request immediate authorization for defensive action. The reply came within hours. Admiral Kexthul. You are reminded that Imperial Order 1247 is absolute. Any violation will result in court-martial and exile. The matter is closed. Kexthal stared at the message for a long time. Court-martial and exile. For asking permission to defend Imperial space against a small blue planet. What were his leaders so afraid of? He called Vexron back to his office. What do you know about human military strength? She checked her datapad. Very little, sir. They have perhaps 200 ships total. Their technology is at least 50 years behind ours. Their population is only 8 billion across all their worlds. And we have 12,000 warships, sir. A population of 40 billion across 200 worlds. The numbers made Kexthul's anger burn even hotter. The Zephyrian Empire was afraid of a race that had fewer ships than some single Zephian fleets. It made no sense. That night, Kexthul could not sleep. He walked through his flagship, looking at his crew. They were good soldiers, loyal and brave. They deserved leaders who were not afraid of ghosts and old stories by morning. He had made his decision. If the High Council would not give him permission to investigate, he would investigate anyway. He would send a small force to watch the humans and learn their secrets. Once he proved that Earth was no threat, the foolish ban would be lifted. He called Vexron to his office early the next day. Prepare 12 ships for a reconnaissance mission. Tell the crews they are going to investigate pirate activity in the outer systems. Sir, which system should I tell them to investigate? Kexthul smiled for the first time in days. The solar system. Earth system. Vexron's yellow eyes went wide. Sir, that is forbidden. Only if the High Council finds out. Kexthul replied. And they will not find out until we return with proof that humans are no threat to the Empire. But sir, the Order clearly states, the Order is based on fear and old stories. Kexthul cut her off. I have conquered worlds that the Council thought were too dangerous to attack. I have defeated enemies they said were impossible to beat. I will not let ancient cowardice stop me from doing my duty. Vexron looked uncertain, but she nodded. Yes, sir. I will prepare the ships. As she left his office, Kexthul turned back to look at Earth on his screen. Soon he would have answers. Soon the mystery would be solved. And then, if the humans proved to be a threat to Imperial space, he would deal with them the way he had dealt with every other enemy. He had no way of knowing that his decision would cost him everything. Captain Zordak checked his ship systems one last time. Everything was ready. His 12 ships floated in space, hidden behind a large asteroid field at the edge of the solar system. From here, they could watch Earth without being seen. All ships report ready, Captain, said his communications officer. Zordak nodded. He was Admiral Kexthul's best captain, chosen for this secret mission because he could be trusted to follow orders and keep quiet. The crew thought they were hunting pirates. Only Zordak knew the truth. Take us in slowly, he ordered. I want to see what these humans are hiding. The Zephyrian ships moved toward Earth's system like silent hunters. Their advanced sensors reached out, looking for human ships and weapons. What they found surprised Zordak. Earth's defenses were much stronger than expected. Weapon platforms floated around the planet like metal moons. Space stations the size of cities watched every direction. Patrol ships moved in careful patterns, never leaving any area unguarded. Captain, his sensor officer said, I count at least 50 defensive platforms around Earth alone. And there are more around the other planets. What about their ships? I see 40 human vessels on patrol. But sir, ... The officer paused. Their technology readings are strange. I cannot get clear scans of their weapons or shields. Zordak frowned. Zephyrian sensors could scan through any known material. How were the humans blocking them? Keep watching, he ordered. I want to know how many ships they have and where their main bases are. For 3 hours, the Zephyrian ships stayed hidden and watched. Earth's defenses looked impressive, but Zordok had seemed stronger. The human ships seemed small compared to Zephyrian warships. Their movements were organized, but not threatening. Then everything changed. Captain, we have a human ship approaching our position, the sensor officer announced. On the main screen, a human vessel appeared. It was smaller than Zordok's ship, with smooth white and blue markings on its hull. Words in human language were painted on the side. Liberty's Edge. How did they find us? Zordok demanded. Unknown, sir. Our stealth systems are fully active. The human ship moved closer, but it did not raise weapons or shields. Instead, it sent a message. Unknown vessels. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth defense ship Liberty's Edge. You have entered solar system space without permission. Please identify yourselves and state your purpose. The voice was calm and polite. Zordok had expected threats or demands. This human sounded like he was greeting old friends. Should I answer, Captain? Asked his communications officer. Not yet. Keep watching. Captain Morrison's ship waited patiently for several minutes. Then the human tried again. Unknown vessels. We detect 12 ships in your formation. Our sensors show you are armed, but not targeting any of our installations. We would like to offer you safe escort to a neutral meeting point where we can discuss your visit properly. Zordok could not believe what he was hearing. The humans had found his hidden fleet, but instead of attacking, they were offering help. Either these humans were very stupid or very confident. Sir, his weapons officer said, 2 more human ships are approaching. Should I prepare our guns? On the screen, 2 more human vessels appeared. They were the same size as the first ship, moving in formation, but keeping their weapons powered down. Like the first ship, they had names painted on their hulls. Ranger's Call and Defiant Star. Captain Morrison here again. The human voice came through the speakers. My friends Captain Steve Parker and Captain Lisa Young have joined me. We want to make sure you feel welcome in our system. Please follow us to the neutral zone at the edge of our asteroid belt. We can provide food, fuel, and anything else you might need. This was too much. Zordok had been trained to expect human aggression and violence. These humans were acting like hosts at a party. Open a channel, he ordered. Channel open, sir. Human vessel. This is Captain Zordok of the Zephyrian Exploration Fleet. We are conducting routine patrols and do not require assistance. Understood. Captain Zordok, Morrison replied immediately. However, our security protocols require all armed vessels approaching Earth to accept escort. It is for the safety of both our peoples. We would be happy to explain our procedures at the meeting. Point. We decline your escort, Zordok said firmly. We will conduct our mission and depart. There was a pause. When Morrison spoke again, his voice was still polite, but something had changed. Captain Zordok, I am afraid I must insist. Unescorted. Armed vessels approaching Earth are considered hostile, according to Solar Defense Code 12. Please accept our escort, or you will need to leave the system immediately. Zordok felt his anger rising. 3 small human ships were trying to order around 12 Zephyrian warships. It was ridiculous. Human, you are in no position to make demands. Move aside. I am sorry you feel that way, Captain, Morrison said. But we cannot allow unescorted vessels to approach Earth. This is your final warning. Zordok had heard enough. All ships, forward formation. Ignore the humans. Our mission continues. The Zephyrian fleet moved toward Earth, pushing past the 3 human ships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Captain Morrison's voice came through the speakers one last time. All Earth defense vessels, This is Morrison. We have hostile ships. Refusing escort. Code 12 is now in effect. Repeat, Code 12 is in effect. Suddenly, Zordic's ship shook violently. Warning lights flashed on every control panel. Captain, our engines are shutting down, his engineer shouted. Weapons systems offline, added the weapons officer. Shields failing, cried another crew member. On the screen, the 3 human ships had not moved. They were not firing any visible weapons. But somehow, all 12 Zephyrian ships were losing power. How are they doing this? Zordak demanded. Unknown, sir. All our systems are being shut down from the outside. Within minutes, the mighty Zephyrian warships were floating helplessly in space. Their engines were dead. Their weapons would not respond. Even their communications were being blocked. Captain Morrison's ship moved alongside Zordak's vessel. The human's voice came through the ship's emergency speakers. Captain Zordak, your ships are now under Earth defense control. Your crews are safe, but your vessels are disabled. We will transport you to a secure facility where you can wait while we contact your government. This is impossible. Zordak shouted. Our shields should stop any attack. We did not attack you, Captain, Morrison replied. We simply activated our defensive systems. Your weapons and engines will remain offline until this situation is resolved peacefully. Through his ship's windows, Zordak could see human transporter beams pulling his crew members off the Zephyrian ships. The humans were being gentle, but they were also being thorough. Within an hour, every Zephyrian was in human custody. As Zordak was led aboard the Liberty's Edge, he got his first look at Captain Jake Morrison. The human was shorter than a Zephyrian, with brown hair and calm blue eyes. He looked young, maybe 40 years old in human terms. Welcome aboard, Captain, Morrison said with a smile. I know this is not how you planned your visit, but I promise you will be treated well. How did you disable our ships? Zordak asked. Morrison's smile faded. Slightly. That is classified information, Captain. But I can tell you that Earth has been expecting a visit like yours for a very long time. As the human ship carried him away from his disabled fleet, Zordak realized he had made a terrible mistake. These humans were not weak or stupid. They had been playing with him from the moment he entered their system. And now, Admiral Kekstol was waiting for a report that would never come. Admiral Kekstol paced back and forth in his command room. 7 days had passed since Captain Zordak's ships had left for Earth. 7 days without a single message. Still no contact, sir, Subcommander Vexron reported. All 12 ships remain silent. Kekstol's purple skin had turned darker with rage. They have been destroyed. The humans killed them. We do not know that for certain, sir. What else could have happened? Kekstol slammed his fist on the control panel. 12 ships do not just disappear. The humans attacked them without warning, just like the cowards they are. Vexron looked uncomfortable. Sir, perhaps we should report this to the High Council. No. Kekstol turned on her with burning eyes. The Council will use this as proof that their foolish ban was correct. They will do nothing to avenge our lost ships. He walked to the large window that looked out into space. His fleet surrounded him, 200 of the finest warships in the Zephyrian Empire. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a city. Together, they could crack planets. Sir, if the humans did attack our ships, they will be expecting retaliation, Vexron said carefully. Perhaps we should consider. I am considering it, Kekstol interrupted. We will give them the war they started. Prepare the fleet for battle. All ships, sir? Every one. I want overwhelming force. The humans will learn what happens when they murder Zephyrian crews. As his fleet prepared for battle, Kekstol studied everything his intelligence officers could find about Earth's defenses. The reports were old and incomplete, but they showed a small defensive force with outdated technology. Estimated enemy strength, 30 ships, his tactical officer reported. Their largest vessel appears to be a command ship called the Endeavor. All human ships are smaller than our destroyers. Kexthal smiled coldly. 30 ships against 200. They will not even slow us down. The journey to Earth took 2 days at full battle speed. When the Zephyrian fleet reached the edge of the solar system, they found the humans waiting for them. "Sir, human ships approaching," the sensor officer announced. On the main screen, 30 human vessels moved into formation. They looked tiny compared to the massive Zephyrian fleet. At the center of the human formation was their flagship, Endeavor. "All ships battle formation," Kexthal ordered. "Raise shields and charge weapons." A message came from the human flagship. The voice was female, calm and professional. "Zephyrian fleet, this is Admiral Lisa Parker, commanding the Earth Defense Force. You have entered solar system space with hostile intent. I am authorized to offer you one chance to withdraw peacefully." Kexthal opened a channel. "Human, I am Admiral Kexthal of the Zephyrian Empire. You attacked and destroyed my ships without warning. I demand the immediate surrender of your world and the return of my captured crews." "Admiral Kexthal," Parker replied, "your ships were not destroyed. Captain Zordok and all his crews are safe in our custody. They violated our security protocols and were detained according to interstellar law." "Lies," Kexthal shouted. "You killed them like the savages you are." There was a pause. When Admiral Parker spoke again, her voice was colder. "Admiral, your crews are alive and well. If you wish to see proof, I can arrange a communication. However, your current aggressive posture is unacceptable. Withdraw your fleet, and we can negotiate the return of your people." Kexthal looked at the human ships on his screen. 30 small vessels against his mighty fleet. The woman was trying to negotiate from a position of weakness. It was pathetic. "I do not negotiate with murderers," he said. "Surrender now, or face the consequences." "Admiral Kexthal," Parker said quietly, "I strongly advise you to reconsider. Your people made this mistake once before. The results were unfortunate. Threats do not frighten me, human. You are outnumbered 7-1. Numbers are not everything, Admiral." Kexthal had heard enough. All ships attack formation. Show these humans the price of crossing the Zephyrian Empire. His fleet moved forward like a wall of death. 200 warships advanced on the small human force with weapons blazing. Kexthal watched the tactical display, expecting to see the human ships die quickly. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ships moved faster than anything Kexthal had ever seen. They flowed around his fleet like water, striking with surgical precision. Zephyrian ships began shutting down one by one, their systems failing just as Captain Zordok's had failed. "What is happening?" Kexthal demanded. "Sir, our ships are being disabled," his tactical officer reported. "The humans are using some kind of electronic warfare system. They are shutting down our vessels without destroying them." "Impossible. Our shields protect against all known electronic attacks." "Not against these, sir." On the screen, Kexthal watched his proud fleet being dismantled. Human ships darted between his massive warships, somehow passing through Zephyrian shields as if they did not exist. Each touch left a Zephyrian vessel dead in space. "The destroyer Vakmer is down," someone shouted. "The battleship Throne of Stars is not responding. All ships concentrate fire on the human flagship." Kexthal ordered desperately. 50 Zephyrian ships turned their weapons on the Endeavor. Enough firepower to destroy a moon struck the human ship directly. When the energy faded, the Endeavor was still there, completely undamaged. How are their shields so strong? Kexthul whispered. Sir, something is wrong with our targeting systems, his weapons officer reported. We are hitting the target, but the energy readings do not match. Kexthul stared at the screen as more of his ships went dark. The humans were winning. Somehow, impossibly, 30 small ships were defeating his entire fleet. Sir, the humans are sending another message. His communications officer said. Admiral Parker's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. Admiral Kexthul, you have lost 60% of your fleet. Your remaining ships are surrounded. I am offering you one final chance to surrender before this situation becomes irreversible. Never, Kexthul snarled. Zephyrians do not surrender. Then you force me to continue, Parker said sadly. All ships, Phase 2. Disable the remaining vessels. The human ships moved again, faster and more deadly than before. Within minutes, the rest of Kexthul's fleet was floating helplessly in space. Only his flagship remained active, surrounded by human vessels. Sir, all systems are failing, his engineer reported. Life support is switching to emergency power. Admiral Parker's ship moved alongside Kexthul's flagship. Her voice came through the emergency speakers. Admiral Kexthul, you are now a prisoner of the Earth Defense Forces. Your crews will be treated according to galactic conventions. Perhaps it is time you learned why your people have that rule about never sending troops to Earth. As human soldiers boarded his ship, Kexthul slumped in his command chair. His career was over. His fleet was captured. His pride was shattered. But worst of all, he was beginning to understand that the ancient prohibition had never been about fear or cowardice. It had been about wisdom. Admiral Kexthul sat in a small white room aboard the human space station called Sanctuary. His hands were not tied, and the door was not locked, but he knew he was a prisoner. Through the single window, he could see his disabled fleet floating. In space, surrounded by human ships, the room was simple but comfortable. The humans had given him food, water, and medical care for his injured crew members. They had been polite and professional, nothing like the savage killers he had expected. A soft knock came at the door. A human woman entered, carrying a data pad and wearing the blue uniform of Earth Defense Forces. Good morning, Admiral, she said in perfect Zephyrian language. I am Commander Kate Wilson. I hope you slept well. Kexthul stared at her. You speak our language. Many of us do, she replied with a smile. We have been studying Zephyrian culture for a very long time. We find your people quite interesting. If you find us so interesting, why did you attack our ships? Commander Wilson sat down across from him. We did not attack you, Admiral. We defended ourselves. Your fleet entered our system with weapons charged and shields raised. What did you expect us to do? You killed my scouts. Captain Zordek and all his crews are alive and well. They are being held in comfortable quarters on this same station. Would you like to speak with them? Kexthul felt confused. Everything the humans said contradicted what he believed. I want to know why your people are so afraid of my empire that they have banned all contact. Wilson's smile faded. Admiral, I think you have the situation backwards. Your empire is the one that banned contact with Earth. We simply agreed to the terms. That is impossible. Is it? Wilson activated her datapad, and a holographic display appeared in the air between them. These are historical records from your own empire's archives. Would you like to see them? The display showed documents written in Zephyrian military code. Kexthul recognized the format immediately. How did you get classified imperial records? We have had 300 years to gather information, Admiral. We are very patient people. The first document was a military report dated 2287. It described the discovery of a small human colony world called New Haven. The report was routine, the kind filed whenever the Empire found new territory to conquer. Standard expansion protocol. Wilson explained. Your Admiral Vorthek attacked New Haven with a fleet of 40 ships. The colony had no military defenses. The population was enslaved according to imperial law. Kexthel nodded, as was proper. Perhaps, but then something unprecedented happened. Read the next report. A new document appeared. This one was from 2 years later, filed by Admiral Vorthek himself. The language was much different. Human retaliation fleet encountered at Kepler Station. Enemy ships unknown design. Heavy casualties sustained. Requesting immediate reinforcements and tactical analysis. Wilson touched her pad again. This was the first time your empire encountered human military forces. Commander Amy Sullivan led a task force of 12 ships to rescue the enslaved colonists. 12 ships against 40, Kexthel said. The humans should have been destroyed. They were not. In fact, they won. Would you like to see the battle reports? More documents filled the air. Kexthel read them with growing disbelief. The human ships had moved in ways that defied Zephyrian understanding of physics. Their weapons cut through Imperial shields as if they were made of paper. Worst of all, they seemed to learn and adapt during the battle itself. This must be fiction, Kexthel said. I assure you it is not. Your Admiral Vorthek lost 37 ships in that battle. Commander Sullivan lost none. Wilson showed him more reports. Each one painted the same picture. Human forces were small, but devastatingly effective. They did not fight like any other race the Zephyrians had encountered. Your people learned something important during that first war, Wilson continued. Humans do not simply fight. We study our enemies. We learn from every battle. We improve. The next set of documents showed the full scope of the human response. When the Empire refused to return the enslaved colonists, Earth had declared war. Not just on the fleet that attacked New Haven, but on the entire Zephyrian presence in that sector of space. Captain Ben Hayes led the rescue operations, Wilson explained. Commander Nathan Clark commanded the assault forces. Captain Tim Brooks coordinated our intelligence operations. They worked together to dismantle your empire's infrastructure piece by piece. Kexthel read about battles he had never heard of. Zephyrian supply lines cut, military bases destroyed, entire fleets disabled and captured. The humans fought with a precision and determination that terrified Imperial commanders. The war lasted 3 years, Wilson said. In the end, your empire was forced to withdraw completely from human space. The peace treaty included the clause that your people would never again attack Earth or human colonies. But why? Kexthel asked. Why agree to such terms? The Empire had thousands of ships. Wilson's expression grew serious. Because your leaders realized something that you are only beginning to understand. Humans are not like other races, Admiral. When you threaten our people, we do not just defend. We adapt. We learn. We become better than we were before. She showed him a final document. This one was marked with the highest classification codes. This is a psychological profile of human warriors, compiled by your own xenobiologists after the war. Read it carefully. Kexthel read the report slowly. It described humans as a species that viewed conflict as a learning experience. Where other races fought to survive, humans fought to improve. Each battle made them stronger, smarter, more dangerous. The report concludes that prolonged warfare with humans would result in their eventual technological superiority over any opponent, Wilson said quietly. Your ancestors understood this. That is why they agreed to the treaty. But we outnumber you hundreds to one, Kexthel protested. Numbers mean nothing if your opponent learns faster than you can replace losses. Admiral, in the 300 years since that treaty was signed, how much has Zephyrian military technology advanced? Kex Thul thought about it. Perhaps 20% improvement in weapons efficiency. Some advances in shield technology. Human military technology has advanced over 400% in the same period. We did not stop learning when the war ended. We prepared for the day someone would break the treaty. Wilson stood up and walked to the window. Your fleet was defeated by ships using technology your people cannot even understand yet. And Admiral, this was not our best effort. These were just our border patrol ships. Kex Thul felt a chill run through his body. You mean there are more? Many. More. Earth has been expecting this day for 3 centuries. We knew eventually someone would test the treaty. We hoped it would never happen, but we prepared anyway. She turned back to face him. Your empire created its own worst nightmare, Admiral. By attacking us first, you gave us a reason to become warriors. By fighting us, you taught us how to fight. The treaty was not our idea. It was your people's attempt to contain what they had accidentally created. Kex Thul slumped in his chair. Everything he had believed about human weakness was wrong. The prohibition had never been about imperial cowardice. It had been about imperial survival. What happens now? He asked quietly. That depends on you, Wilson replied. The treaty still stands. Your crews will be returned safely, but your ships will be confiscated. You will carry a message back to your empire. The same message we gave your ancestors 300 years ago. What message? Wilson's eyes were hard as steel. Leave us alone, and we will leave you alone. But understand this, Admiral, if you ever truly threaten Earth again, if you ever harm another human civilian, the response will not be as gentle as what you experienced today. As she left the room, Kex Thul stared out at his defeated fleet. For the first time in his life, he understood what real fear felt like. 3 days later, Admiral Kex Thul sat across from Colonel Ryan Mitchell in the same white room. The human officer was older than Commander Wilson, with gray hair and tired eyes that seemed to see everything. You have questions, Mitchell said simply. Many questions, Kex Thul replied. Your Commander Wilson showed me the historical records. But I still do not understand how 30 ships defeated my entire fleet. Mitchell leaned back in his chair. What do you want to know? Your weapons, your shields, how do they work? I cannot give you technical details, Admiral, but I can explain the principles. Mitchell activated a small holographic projector. Your people made 2 critical mistakes. First, you assumed our technology had not advanced since your last contact with us. Second, you assumed we would fight the way we fought 300 years ago. The hologram showed a simplified diagram of the recent battle. Your ships entered our system using standard Zephyrian battle tactics. Formations, attack patterns, shield frequencies, everything exactly as your people have done for centuries. Our tactics have proven successful against every enemy, Kex Thul said. Against every enemy except us, Mitchell corrected. Admiral, we have spent 3 centuries studying your people. We know everything about Zephyrian military doctrine. We have captured examples of your technology. We have analyzed every battle. Your empire has fought. The hologram changed, showing Zephyrian ship designs. We know the exact frequency of your shields. We know the power output of your weapons. We know the limitations of your sensors. Most importantly, we know how you think. Kex Thul felt a chill. You have been spying on us. We have been learning from you, Mitchell said. There is a difference. Every Zephyrian ship that enters human space is scanned. Every communication we intercept teaches us something new. Your people provided us with the perfect laboratory to study your capabilities. But how did you disable our ships? Our shields should have protected us. Mitchell smiled slightly. Your shields protect against energy weapons and physical projectiles. They were never designed to stop the kind of attacks we used. What kind of attacks? Information warfare. Admiral, your ships are controlled by computers. Those computers communicate with each other using predictable frequencies and protocols. Once we learned those protocols, we could send our own signals. The implications hit Kexthul like a physical blow. You hacked our ships. In simple terms, yes. We told your computers to shut down your weapons and engines. Your crews were never in danger because we never intended to kill anyone. That is impossible. Our security systems were designed by programmers who thought like Zephyrians, Mitchell interrupted. Admiral, one of the most important things we learned about your people is that you think in patterns. Predictable patterns. Once we understood those patterns, creating countermeasures was relatively simple. Kexthul thought about his own career. Every battle plan, every tactical decision, had they all been predictable to someone who understood? Zephyrian thinking? There is something else you should know, Mitchell continued. Your defeat was not just technological. It was strategic. What do you mean? We let you win the first engagement. Kexthul stared at him. What? Captain Morrison. Could have disabled your scout ships the moment they entered our system. Instead, he gave them time to observe our defenses. He let them see exactly what we wanted them to see. You wanted them to report back. We wanted you to attack, Mitchell said calmly. We knew someone would eventually test the treaty. Better to face that challenge on our terms, when and where we chose. The colonel activated another hologram. This one showed the deployment of human forces before the battle. Your fleet was surrounded before you even reached Earth. We had ships positioned throughout the system, hidden and waiting. The 30 ships you fought were just the ones we allowed you to see. How many ships do you really have? Enough, Mitchell replied. But Admiral, this was never about numbers. This was about ending a threat to peace before it could grow larger. Kexthul felt sick. You manipulated everything. We prepared for everything. There is a difference. Mitchell leaned forward. Admiral, what did you think would happen when you violated the treaty? Did you believe we had forgotten the lessons of the last war? I thought the treaty was based on fear. It was. Fear of what humans become when we are threatened. Mitchell's voice grew colder. Your people learned that lesson once. We hoped they would remember it. What happens now? Mitchell shut off the hologram. You will be returned to Zephyrian space, along with your crews. Your ships will remain here. As compensation for the violation of the treaty, you will carry a message to your High Council. What message? The treaty remains in effect. Any future violations will be met with permanent consequences. Kexthul did not ask what permanent consequences meant. He was beginning to understand that humans did not make empty threats. 2 days later, Kexthul stood on the bridge of a human transport ship heading back to Zephyrian space. Through the viewports, he could see Earth growing smaller behind them. The blue and green world looked as peaceful as ever, but now he knew the truth. Earth was not peaceful because its people were weak. Earth was peaceful because its people were so strong that no one dared disturb their peace. Captain Zorduk stood beside him at the viewport. The younger officer had been quiet since his release from human custody. Sir, Zorduk said finally, what will you tell the High Council? Kexthul thought about his report. How could he explain that the mighty Zephyrian Empire had been defeated by clever programming and superior planning? How could he describe the casual competence of human officers who treated war like a science project? I will tell them the truth. He said at last, the prohibition must stand. Earth must never be threatened again. But sir, surely with enough ships? No. Kexthul's voice was firm. Captain, The humans allowed us to see their strength. They could have destroyed us completely, but they chose mercy. Do not mistake that mercy for weakness. When they reached Zephyrian space, Kexthal was immediately summoned before the High Council. The ancient leaders listened to his report in silence. When he finished, they asked only one question. Admiral, what is your recommendation? Upgrade Earth's classification to existential threat, Kexthal replied. Institute a permanent ban on all military action against human space. And pray that they never decide we are a threat to them. The High Council voted unanimously to accept his recommendations. Kexthal's career was over. He was stripped of his rank and exiled to a remote mining world. But sometimes, late at night, he would look up at the stars and think about the humans. On their blue and green planet Dot, he had learned too late that some rules exist for very good reasons. The prohibition against attacking Earth had never been about protecting humans from the Zephyrian Empire. It had been about protecting the Zephyrian Empire from humans. In the depths of space, human patrol ships continued their quiet wash. Captain Paul Rogers of the Defender's Light and Commander Lisa Stone of the Guardian's Watch led their crews in the same careful patterns. Their predecessors had followed for centuries. They watched. They waited. They remembered. And they made sure that Admiral Kexthal's mistake would never be repeated.